This podcast will hopefully contain words or statements of obscene, pornographic, or immoral character. You have been warned. You have been warned. You have been warned.
Good day, A, and welcome to the Great White North, or episode 3 of the Potty Mouth Records podcast.
Greetings, everyone.
Nice. I see, I can't even hit the note.
So yeah, welcome back, and we are, I guess, part 2ing from last week, continuation.
Okay, so do you know where we left off?
So we left off with, I think, like sort of like the final thing was I was discussing my guitar lessons that I quit after 3 days once I learned how to play a power chord.
Hells yeah.
And everything else didn't matter to me at that point. And then you were going to talk. I got excited because we were going to talk about Ryan Harpster.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, before we go too far, thank you for downloading. Like, you guys have proved me wrong because there are more people listening than I ever thought would. Jonathan's winning money. Oh, shit. All right. So, damn it.
Hold on. I guess, like, first of all, one thing I did think about from the last episode is there definitely some like names we're using where I could maybe get confusing because there's 2 Daves. So obviously a lot of the Daves we've been talking about up until this point is Dave Taylor, which is a singer of Lawn Dart. Not to be confused with Devious Dave Colonel Peckerwood of Bomb Threat. So
and Dave Moats.
And Dave Moats.
From the Craven Moorheads.
Craven Moorheads. So yeah. I think we're kind of in the era of discussion where we're not referencing Colonel Peckerwood quite yet. And then so we were talking about Dustin and Danny a little bit, and just so people know, those are just high school friends of yours, or maybe before high school.
Middle school. We met in 6th grade, and I still fucking see Dustin every goddamn, well, not every goddamn day, but
yeah,
at least 3 days. Yeah. How fucked up is that?
But yeah, so those guys were just, skateboarder punk rock dudes.
Yeah. So
but then Ryan Harpster is, so if you just want to, because honestly, I don't even really know. I mean, I know Ryan and I have some stories I can share about him, but he's probably one of the people I know the least out of like all the Aversion days people. So yeah.
Oh wow. So I guess we were kind of dovetailing like how we got where we were, not dovetailing. Anyway, we were kind of doing origins.
Yeah.
And like so we went through
influences. Yeah.
Influences. And I think what happened was how I ended up at the helm of Aversion, and then wherever the hell else I was in. Is it started with me hanging out with the Turners and my cousin or distant cousin John, and they were in a band, and I got to do 2 songs with them, A Marginal Man and a Nazi front cover. And that is, so I guess I was learning lyrics all the time.
And now
you are
for this week's glitch in the internet.
Tell us how it feels to be a pot-smoking fucking hippie, you douchebag.
Now back to the program.
So we all started skateboarding. Me and Dustin, Danny, and like Tony, and who else? They were all in the bikes. And I finally got a bike. But then like the next Christmas, I got a skateboard, and it was the coolest fucking thing ever. So I like skateboarded nonstop. And
all right, hold on. Let me cut you off real quick because this is for my benefit. So what grade would this have been for you guys?
That would be bikes were 6th, and like Dustin and those guys, I think rode them forever. And then I think 7th or 8th grade, I had to be 7th grade. I got a board, a Veriflex.
Oh, nice.
Oh, hell yeah. Everybody else got Nashes, but I got a Veriflex.
Oh yeah. Well, I had the Nash Executioner.
Who didn't? Yeah. I was the only kid that didn't have a fucking Nash Executioner.
Veriflex was cool though. Honestly, Veriflex was like a little bit more legit because Veriflex actually had like a pro team, like Lance Mountain rode for them and stuff.
So I forget the guy.
Low C did.
Low C was badass.
And when you said Tony, are you talking about Tony Shoemaker?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know how much we wanted to use names.
Yeah, I mean,
so we were all.
It's cool. It's cool to reference Tony now because there will be probably a future episode where he comes back in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, holy shit.
That's why I wanted to confirm that. So, yeah.
Okay, so everybody was in the bikes. Gene and Bob were in the bikes. They rode CWs. Fucking Dustin was a Hutch. Danny rode a Redline. I got a Haro finally. And then when I got my Haro, I gave up and started skateboard.
Okay.
So I do remember Gene. And then so I guess I was hanging out and then I started skating with the Turner. See, that seems early. I don't know. I moved out and I lived with my dad for a fucking year. That's where I met Phil. But I hadn't done any band related or even thought anything like music related. I say that, but like back when I was a little kid, like I was second or third grade, I sat up one night and wrote a song, and then I wrote parts for other people so I could be like the Beach Boys.
Wow.
So
now wait, was it lyrics or were you writing like
lyrics? I was just stealing the rhythm. I think it was I Get Around. I was like basically taking that.
Do you recall what these lyrics were at all?
No.
Okay.
Imagine me in third grade. There was a lot of small words, one syllable, but I did it. I totally remember doing that, sitting at the table, wasted a whole fucking night writing down lyrics and then doing it multiple times so I could hand them out. Did I ever do it? I don't think so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Already marketing.
I'm already there, dude. I was ready. I wanted to be the front man. Get all the chicks. Yeah. So anyway, back up to Hedgesville. Anyway, I started skating a ton, skate with a lot of people.
So wait, Hedgesville would have been what?
9th grade.
Okay.
And that's like I said, Phil, I think Phil was a senior. Holy shit, you're old.
Wow, that's weird. I didn't actually realize Phil was that much older than you.
I think he was a senior. He'll text me and tell me I'm wrong, and he was a junior, but I think he was a senior. I don't fucking remember.
So the age difference between you guys is the same as the age difference between you and I then.
Yeah.
If that's accurate.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's close. Skated a shit ton. And then when I moved back, I started hanging out with the Turners. And then like when I moved back, there was a huge skate scene, well, as big as it could be within the Williamsport area.
Well, which is funny when you say move back because it's like you were like 8 minutes away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was right across the fucking bridge, 1 mile into West Virginia. So anyway, while I was away, they built that big fucking half pipe by the high school. They had that
yeah, because that was the Turner's ramp, right?
Though all was Jay's. Like Jay Brower knew somebody, or the Canodes actually knew somebody.
Oh, that was the Canode. Yeah, that was at the Canode's house.
Yeah, it was right behind their house. And like one day I was at fucking football practice and we're running fly patterns forever. And I'm like, who the fuck can throw the football this far anyway? And I'm like, fuck this. I'm done with this. I'm going to skate. And that was kind of my end of ever playing football again. And I just decided I was skating all the time. So I started skating the big half. And then I met Jay. I mean, I think I knew Jay, but not at that level. It's so weird because I remember him breaking one of my skateboards, but I don't remember. Oh, look, he had a half too back in the day because he rode bikes a lot. And he had a half pipe, but it was set up for a bike. So the flat was really, really long. This has nothing to do with music. I understand, but this, and he actually broke my Veriflex so I could get my Neo blender.
Oh, like he broke it for you on purpose?
Yeah, because I can't do shit like that. He didn't have a problem, so he broke my skateboard. So I go home and bitch to my grandma. My skateboard broke. I'd have to get a new deck.
Okay.
So anyway, was hanging out with those guys, and they started playing a band. Like Jay had a band with like his brother, and they were the Mockingbird Felony. Love the name. Think it's fucking awesome.
Oh wow. I remember that band name. I never knew anything about them other than so I was probably like 6th grade and like people were talking about that band. And I was like, whoa, there's like a punk band like here? Like, what is that? So yeah.
It was crazy. I've heard him practice once or twice while I was skating his ramp because honestly, I skated that fucking ramp nonstop. Like we ripped his half down and then ripped down the Canode half pipe because I don't know if we didn't have enough money to relayer it or if it was like the owner of the property is like, you got to get us off. I can't remember why we ripped that bitch down. So we ripped it down and built the 24-foot wide mini at Jay's house. Mm-hmm. And we skated the shit out of that. That was like right after Animal Chin because we did the back-to-back ramps.
Oh, right.
So anyway, they had a band. So at some point, the Turners started their band. And I got into that because they had like, they did Agnostic Front song and a Marginal Man song, and it was with 2 guitar parts. So I screamed or sang those. It's more of a scream. You guys know me. I don't fucking sing. And so that kind of just, I guess, got me in the mindset of fronting. And then just everything happens around skateboarding for the longest time. It's crazy as shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the common theme with everything, I think.
Yeah.
Skateboarding is involved somehow with all these stories. I think I didn't even really think about it when we decided to start doing this. But yeah, I mean, I think skateboarding is going to be a real common theme in a lot of this.
Yeah.
So what was their band called? Did you guys have like a name?
They were Corrupt Youth, and it was like the Turners, guitars. John Winnington played bass, and Mike Smith played drums.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, see, I'd never even heard of Corrupt Youth at all. I'd heard of Mockingbird Felony, but not Corrupt Youth.
So, like, we used to screen print and do shit in the art room all the time. Like, they did a really cool, he did like a Reagan face, but back then we didn't have the light-sensitive silkscreen stuff. So, like, hand-painted Reagan's face on the front of it. I forget what the hell it was called. I don't know. They were cool little shirts.
But you guys were just doing covers. You didn't have originals or anything.
They did covers, and then like I don't know. I must have skated, and they actually started playing and writing music, and they had gotten like I think an arsenal of originals, but I can't remember.
But you weren't like, you just like jammed with them that one day. Were you actually like their singer?
No. I did fill in for like 2 songs.
Oh, okay. I see. But then they like kept playing, but you weren't the singer.
Right.
Okay.
I think this is really crazy is I think we did a show or we played a party in West Virginia down by where my uncle lived at some girl's house. And everybody was tied in with Goretti for some reason. Like we hung out like that circle, like everybody we hung out with was in Goretti, went to Goretti or whatever, some other strange private school up in PA somewhere. I can't even fucking remember.
Okay.
But we played a show, and I actually did my 2 songs there. But after that happened, they started like really. I think everybody got the bug and they started playing, and I think they were good. I can't remember. We'd have to let Mike or somebody decide on that. I can't remember. Like,
Gotcha.
I don't even know if I heard anything past that. And it was well before the days where you got to actually record shit.
Right.
And everybody's still trying to figure out how to do stuff like that. And so anyway, back when we skated.
And I'm sorry, this would have been like 10th grade
10th
for you,
grade,
because you're
yes.
back from Hedgesville?
Yeah.
Okay.
10th grade. Yeah. Yes, I ramble, and I just don't have the art of storytelling like you do.
Well, no, but like, this is awesome. I mean, I'm soaking all this in right now, because this is a lot of stuff I was really looking forward to this episode, because
You were so lame.
yeah, this whole span of time is when, I was doing my own thing separate from you at that point, and this is just all stuff that to me is like, I love this stuff. These are things that I need to know, because I didn't know all this stuff.
Oh my Lord. So where were we? Oh, skating. It's going to be my transition to everything, I think. Actually, this would probably be the last transition from skating. So back, I guess, we had, it was crazy the amount of ramps we had in the Williamsport area. Like the Rossmans had one. Jay had one. We tore that one down. And then Ryan Harpster built a full pipe, not a full, well, it's a half pipe, not a mini, but a regular full size.
Yeah, it was a vert ramp.
It was a vert ramp for a while.
And the ramp at the high school, I mean, that was,
Dude,
I would say that was probably like, that was the premier vert ramp in the area at the time. Like, that had a channel and everything. It was fucking huge.
It was fucking huge. It was brutal. It was huge even by like any other standards. Like, they built it. I don't even know where they got the design, but it was on a crazy level of like.
Yeah, I mean, that thing it wasn't quite like Ocean Bowl size vert ramp, but it was pretty close to that.
Yeah. And maybe that's where somebody figured out the dimensions for that one.
I remember riding the school bus, and you'd go by it every day.
Yeah. You'd see it.
I wasn't skating ramp yet. I was just kind of starting out, and I was like terrified even looking at it. Like, I want to ride that one day, which, not to cut you off, but quick side story, I never skated that ramp when it was like skatable. It was, so by the time I kind of got into like kind of like vert skating or like bigger ramp skating, it had already gone into that phase you were just describing, where it was like being torn down. So I remember they were tearing it down in sections, and they kind of left. So they tore like the vert out and maybe like the first like 3 feet of the top of the trannies, and then the rest of it. So it's almost like it became a mini ramp without decks.
Yes.
And I remember there just being like nails and shit all over it. And I went down there one day and I skated it for like an hour by myself. It was like, and I just like kick turned it, like just with all the nails and shit on the flat. But I always wanted to be able to say I skated that ramp.
Oh, that's
and
funny.
Even though I didn't skate it when it was, real, like the real version, but yeah, so I'm always glad I took that day. Like, I think I even maybe like skated down there, like before I was even driving. Like, I just like, because I was like, I'm scared it's going to be gone, and I just want to say that I pumped that ramp at least. So yeah.
Well, we just must not even cross paths, because that's funny, because we ripped it down so that we could build the other ramp. Like, we salvaged as much shit as we could from that big ramp to build Jay's like mini.
Yeah, which I skated Jay's a few times. Like, I skated Jay's when it was just the mini that you're describing. I don't recall the animal chin like spine side. So I may have like skated it like later when it was a mini, but then I also skated it when they added vert back to it.
And the funny thing is I think Jay was gone.
He was.
Like I think a bunch of guys, and Jay's parents were super fucking cool to let that happen. Like we skated there. Danny broke his fucking ankle there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We had to, it was like, it was on a 45. It wasn't good. Yeah, it was not good.
I hate talking about ankle shit because I've sprained my ankle so many fucking times. It gives me chills.
I know. I hate walking just on anything weird and I start feeling my ankle roll. Quit coughing, bitch.
Sorry. Okay, so yeah, so Corrupt Youth, and then you said everyone started doing their thing then.
Yeah, so I think those guys had started playing, and I started skating. I don't even know who got me. I didn't even know Harpster. Somebody must have took me there.
And he's a little bit younger than you too.
He's a year younger, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a year or two older than me. So yeah.
Yeah. Is he the same age as Bob? Maybe. How old is Bob? A year older than you?
No. I think Ryan was maybe a junior when I was a freshman. Maybe. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't think he's Bob's age. I think he's a year older.
Once again, correct us.
So basically, because he moved from somewhere, right? So it wasn't like he was already around.
Yeah, dude, that was like that development, those 6 houses was new.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like they claimed that because we used to ride bikes when I was really little. There was bike trails back through there, like motorcycle trails.
Those. Yeah.
Like the Van Leer trails they were awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I fucked my shit up more than once on that.
I only ever walked them. I didn't have a bike yet or anything.
So I was so stupid. Here, a side story that in the one section they had this. I don't know where these guys. Somebody basically had a backhoe and they built this fucking jump. And me, not being the sharpest fucking tool in the shed, didn't realize that they didn't pack the back of the ramp down so you could launch up. And I guess the motorcycles launched over it and landed wherever. But me on my little bike, like I pedaled my ass off and I jumped it. But when I landed, it was all unpacked dirt. And it was like more like clay. So it was like, boom, 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 boom. And fucking top it off, wreck myself up. But then it was all poison ivy. Fucking blue.
Nice.
But anyway, like that ramp was near Harpster's house. So somebody took us there and said they were building a ramp. And me, I'm a sucker. Was like, I am in. I think they had just built it. Actually, they were building it because Ryan and I stole lights from. Maybe they finished it when I went up there, but we stole lights from the construction site behind them. And then, of course, the construction guys show up the next day, and all of a sudden we've got lights up on poles above the ramp to light the ramp.
And the ramp's relayered.
Yeah. And they're out lights. So we got caught on that one.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah. It was quite evident where the lights came from. We didn't relayer. We took the lights. I'm pretty certain.
Did they? So what happened?
No, they
come
they made us take them down and they took their light fixtures and we went and bought new ones. But so he and I skated all the time. And I don't know what was this dude's name? Some reason this guy came over to jam with Ryan. Like Ryan and I became really tight because he had a ramp. I was super close to his ramp. Like
I was going to say, he lived really close too.
Dude, so it was probably under a mile.
Yeah.
So it really made life easy. So our friendship spawned from the ramp, and then he played guitar, but I guess I never thought anything about it. But some dude came over and played drums with him one day, and they're fucking around, and somehow we ended up, like, I came in or showed up to skate and they were jamming and we did like Crucial Barbecue. And that kind of started the whole trick of Aversion X or Aversion. Like,
oh wow. So he's technically like an original member then.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that.
Wow, yeah. That's crazy. But yeah, so that kind of like, it was me and Ryan, and then it was like Mark Stevens or something like that. I think it was a guy's name. He played drums like 2 or 3 times, and like we were trying. And I think Ryan and I were getting into it, so we were like kept pumping and pumping, and somehow we got Cowboy Carl, whether he had just broke up or he had left. Shit, Dave might have died. That might have been, holy shit.
The drummer.
No, the guy from AKR.
Oh, Dave Phillips.
Dave Phillips. I think he died.
Or no, Eric.
Eric. Yeah, shit. Yeah.
Dave's the one who's my age.
Yeah.
He's the younger brother.
Oh, well, at least I had the right family. Yeah, because he and I skated a lot. I think about this shit a lot. It's me and Scott Boyer. Fucking, we're giggling at Eric's funeral, and Scott looked at me and goes, "What the fuck would Eric do?" And I'm like, "I know, but it's horrible because we're just there." I mean, it was sad as shit, but it was like, it was so weird. But I like, that's one of the things I think about a lot still, is like giggling at his funeral. But his parents didn't hold it against me because she came out and thanked me for skating with Dave, like the day of the funeral. Like, we all hung out with Dave and we were talking and went back to his house and skated. But I think like, so that's a weird, like shit.
Did you ever skate their mini ramp?
Yeah.
That ramp was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That ramp was so good and smooth and like built really well.
Do you know what's fucked up? Is I think I drew the plans for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was like one of my mechanical drawing classes.
Oh, nice.
I think I drew it out as a full, but we cut it. Like it went, like it was initially drawn as a full scale ramp, and then it came out as a mini. I think I did that. Like,
well, so this is a interesting tie-in because I think, well, first of all, you probably don't remember this at all, but I skated. So you and I weren't really like hanging out yet, but I remember, I knew about Ryan's ramp, and I knew about it when it was still a vert ramp. And, I remember like when I'd go to my grandparents on the weekends, we'd drive past there, and I could always like look back and like see like above the fence, I could see like, you know, like the decks and stuff.
mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh man, that's cool. Like, you know, I want to skate that, but I was like, I don't know whose it is or whatever. But the only time I ever skated his ramp is when it was a mini, once you guys cut it down. And I only ever skated that ramp like twice. I think I skated it once with the Rossmans.
Yeah.
Because I was actually skating with those guys a good bit. And then the only other time I skated it, I was actually there by myself, and you actually showed up.
Oh, did I?
And I actually remember this because you were skating you had your Nodus at the time.
I still have the Nodus.
Yeah. So, but I remember that because like that was, I mean, obviously like you knew who I was because of,
yeah, you know, we've only,
but we weren't like really like kind of like hanging out yet. But yeah, that's crazy. So I knew Ryan was early incarnation of the band, but I didn't realize he was like original member.
Yeah. So yeah. So how did it go from there? So,
and also Cowboy Carl is Dave from Lawn Dart, by the way.
Yeah, sorry. Dave's real name's Carl. And I think we used to make fun of Dave's dad and called his dad Cowboy Carl. And then it just fucking kind of carried over.
I didn't know that either. I mean, I knew his real name was Carl, but I didn't know about the dad part.
Yeah, his dad, I think his dad was a truck driver. Because he used to talk to Phil. I somewhere where Phil, like, they interacted a lot. So where were we? Aversion.
Yeah. Well, another thing too that I can add, if anyone's interested in this, is on the Potty Mouth YouTube channel. There are the Aversion X videos that are on there.
Fuck.
But I forget which one it is, but in one of those videos, there's footage of you guys practicing in the treehouse.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So basically, if anyone wants to see early practice of Aversion X, the treehouse that they're well, I don't know if you can tell by the video that it's a treehouse, but it's basically like a playhouse kind of thing, because he had like younger sisters or something, and you guys practiced in there, and that treehouse is in the yard of this guy we're talking about right now.
That we ended up, I think we got kicked out of the garage and put into the treehouse. But it was cool. We had fun. I'm trying to think how everybody kind of fell in. And I can't actually honestly say that. Dave must have left. And I think we got Matt, because Matt skated and Matt was around. Mm-hmm. And I think he was actually friends with Harpster before he was friends with me. Okay. Like Matt and I, even though we went to school together and we're in the same grade, we didn't really hang out or talk that much. But then he started and he ended up playing bass for us. And then Mike Smith got in the band somehow because we needed a drummer. But then he left because we were supposed to be straight edge. And I think somebody busted some of the others for either drinking or smoking pot. I don't know. So he left. We got Heath from AKR because Eric had passed away. I don't think he was doing anything. And I would assume that he's in that video playing drums at the treehouse.
I'm not totally sure about that, but probably.
I think so. So anyway, we went and did our shit. This is supposed to be about my origin, I guess.
Yeah.
But so we played for a while. We all lived together. Somehow, Andy. We had Andy play guitar for us when Ryan got kicked out because of the smoky drinky thing. Yes, I was an asshole, apparently. It was very much into my straight edge roots.
Oh, so like Ryan got edge break, face break by you.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I gotcha. Fought it. Like, Mike quit. Like, we were supposed to play a show, like, in the day or the day before he quit because he found out that Ryan was smoking or something, and I wasn't happy.
So he quit because...
Yeah, he quit.
So you're like, we don't want Ryan in the band, but Mike was just like, I'm so mad he broke edge, I'm going to quit the band.
He quit. Yeah. Like, I didn't believe Mike, so my bad. But then somebody else busted it, Ryan, as well. I'm like, fuck. So then we got Andy Keene.
Well, but then you guys must have lost your practice spot.
We did. I think we ended up practicing at Matt's house.
So that's when you started. So that's when I would have started hanging around, is when you guys were at Matt's.
Yeah, because
I was at Matt's. Because you probably don't remember this either, but there was a brief moment in time where like there was consideration of maybe me being in Aversion. Do you remember that at all?
Maybe not. Were you going to play bass?
I mean, it would have been to play bass.
And that would have been Matt transitioning over to guitar.
I mean, it because you guys, I remember this. I remember you guys practice because when was at Matt's house on York Road, or his mom's, and then I remember because I went there to, you guys were playing a show, and I met up. Actually, probably came with you, and maybe. I'm not sure about that part, but I definitely remember going to his house. You guys were loading gear, and there was some talk about like maybe you could come over and like jam sometime. It never happened, but yeah. Anyway,
No,
and I don't remember. I don't remember who was even playing bass at that show or anything like that. But
yeah, it all gets blurry. I don't know why it gets blurry because I didn't drink or do anything at that point, so that's really fucked up. I can't remember any of it, but I can't.
Well, that's a long time ago too.
So anyway, Aversion happened. We lived in we had the Aversion house where it was me, Dan, Matt, and Cowboy Carl.
Like the the skinhead ranch.
Yeah. Skinhead ranch. That's nice. And then
which was in West Virginia.
Yeah. That was 1.5 miles across the bridge.
Gotcha.
But
yeah, I remember that place.
We had that. And then I think just everything kind of went to shit. The living together is not always the best idea.
Now, were you guys practicing in that house too?
Yeah, we practiced. Actually, we had a shed behind the house that we practiced in. We tried in the basement, it didn't work. But then we had a shed.
So you guys went from Matt's house over. That's when you all moved into the ranch.
Well, we played at Heath's for a little bit, and then we went to the ranch.
Okay.
Which is so fucking funny.
And Phil lived there too, right?
Yeah, Dan and Matt left. So Matt told me this awesome story. The reason he moved out was he was so mad at me because he thought that I played a prank on him and wound his windows down in his van. And it snowed and his fucking van filled up with snow. Then he told me, we just talked about this. Then he was like, then I kind of thought about it. And I think it was me because I was having a hard time staying awake and I kept rolling the windows down so I could make it home.
Oh, nice.
So he got pissed and moved out because of me, but it was his own fucking fault, but it's okay.
Yeah. And also Matt that you're talking about is Matt who played bass in Lawn Dart and also was drummer of Bomb Dart. So people know that's who we're talking about.
And guitar.
And guitar of Aversion.
Yep.
And bass of Aversion.
Yeah, and bass. Matt was our multi-tooled player.
Mm-hmm.
Then where the fuck were we? I don't know.
So you were saying that like basically at the Skinhead Ranch is where things started to fall apart.
Yeah.
With Aversion X.
Yeah, and I think it did. That went by the wayside, and we all started hanging out at Gabe's house. And I think that really was kind of like the not the beginning of the end. It was definitely the end of Aversion when we all started hanging out at Gabe's. Just it was a different crowd, different people. And I think we just all kind of grew apart.
Gotcha. And then I'll go ahead.
So that led into the Pank. Yeah.
Oh, wait, because you were in Pank, right?
I was the bass player.
I forgot. I just now remembered that. But that was short-lived, right?
Yeah. Phil and I, we both fucking exited at the same time.
Yeah, because Phil was there too. I forgot about that.
It was kind of what do you want to say? Like I came to a conclusion because I'm always miffy about the people who play in the band. Like I want them to be as energetic as I thought I was. So I was like, fuck it. I'm going to learn to play an instrument so I can find somebody, because being energetic when you're fucking front man, that's easy. But when you're trying to play shit, that's a lot harder, or at least to me it is. So I was like, fuck it. I'm going to learn to play an instrument so I could be that energetic guy I want in my band.
Wow.
So that's why I started playing bass.
Okay. So I want to go backwards a little bit. So just because I think you did a really good job of giving a good synopsis of the Aversion X history, but the one part that would be missing for confirmation for me is that there was a point in which the Gabe and Ramon were in Aversion X as well. Is that correct?
Ramon was, holy shit. He came in right before Mike Smith did. I don't think Gabe was ever in it. We just practiced at Gabe's house because everybody fucking practiced at Gabe's house. But
so Ramon would have been like Treehouse era.
He would have been before that. He was
even before.
He was like number 2 drummer, I bet. Number
Gotcha.
2 drummer, and then it didn't pan out. I don't know why.
And how did that come about though?
Fuck.
Did you already know him?
I knew of him from school.
It's time for an official Potty Mouth podcast potty break.
All right, so back from the break, we were discussing I think Ramon drumming in Aversion X.
I don't even know if we were version X then. We might have been just a version because we didn't find out about that. And that definitely was early. And I actually think that connection came through Dave. And I can't remember why Dave / Cowboy Carl knew Ramon, but he did.
Okay.
So that was the connection. What was I going to say? So,
but obviously that didn't work. So
yeah,
that was short-lived.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, we were writing stuff because I remember writing songs and stuff with him.
Okay.
It just, I just don't know. I don't know what happened there. It's who knows?
Yeah.
Shit happens. As you guys will find out, everybody rotates in and out. It doesn't fucking matter. The show goes on.
Yeah.
Stupidity will prevail.
So then you and Phil and Pank, and then that didn't work out. Yeah. And then I guess that would have been kind of leading into, I'm guessing, the start of Lawn Dart somehow.
It did. So yeah, us bored, fucking unemployed, with nothing to fuck.
But you're still so you and Phil are still at the ranch.
Yeah, I bet you we were. I bet you we were still at the ranch. Like, I don't remember. I know Pank, we were definitely at the ranch, but I don't remember like when the ranch kind of folded. And I actually moved out before that because I lost my job and didn't have a fucking source of income. So I had to go back home. Woohoo!
Okay.
So, but we all still hung out at Gabe's. Oh shit. I was like somewhere along the way, I think during the Pank, we also did Screwworm.
Mm-hmm.
And then
like Incarnation 1 of Screwworm.
How many incarnations are there?
Well, yeah, so there was the original version of the band that you're describing, but then there was the second version where I was in for a little bit.
Oh yeah? Were you on the one that we did the Gigi Allen song with?
No. So that was Incarnation 1, but then you guys stopped playing but it somehow it started back up. And I don't remember if that was happening simultaneously when I was playing in Lawn Dart, if we would do like kind of double header practices, or if it was like later, but I was playing. I honestly don't remember, but I feel like Gabe and I were playing guitar in that Incarnation. So it had to have been later because I had actually like gotten like better at guitar. So I think that's why I was like doing, but I mean, that was short lived. That was maybe we jammed like 4 or 5 times. Or
right.
Something.
Yeah. I don't remember at all. And then Lawn Dart happened and I started playing guitar there because once again, we were unemployed and we had time to kill and I hung out with Gabe like all the time. And we just sat and played guitar all the time. So that's kind of where it started for that shit. And that was a total.
So you and Gabe were kind of like the original, like people who started Lawn Dart then. Yeah.
It would have been the only person we didn't have was, would have been I'm trying to think. It probably was Matt was the last add-in, because I think Heath hung up at the house all the time too. So it really was like, I think Matt was the last one in.
So that, I guess that would have been my next question then. If you and Gabe were kind of hanging out, writing riffs and stuff, like, do you remember a instance where you were like, hey, this stuff's pretty cool, like, let's do something? Or was it like, how did that come about?
None of it was ever cool. But
well, we can agree to disagree on that, but yeah.
But no, I honestly think it was a conscious decision. It wasn't like, hey, let's just start doing something, because we all were killing time. Like Dave was the last one to get laid off, but he got laid off too. And it was like
all the people were like available to do something, like no one's working. So like, let's just do this.
That's exactly, that's it. It was like, so that's where it kind of started. I'm trying to think. And that went well for a long time. Or I don't know, how long was it? A couple of years. I guess you were the first bass player, weren't you?
Yeah, I would have been the first one.
Yeah, it was us. Then Matt came, and then Heath left. I don't remember what the deal was. And Ramon.
It's funny.
Ramon came, and then we had to re-record stuff because Ramon didn't like selling shit that he didn't play on. And I'm like, I understand that.
Yeah.
Thus Clevenger.
That's funny. A lot of that makes a lot more sense now, because I remember you guys would pick me up after school. Like I'd get out of school and you would come pick me up. And I definitely remember thinking like, because I guess I probably didn't know the specifics of like you guys weren't working or like whatever, you know. So I was like, oh, that's weird. Like these guys like just can like come pick me up. Like it's like you weren't doing anything. I was like, oh man, they don't even have to work. Like,
yeah,
what is going on?
We're real musicians.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's funny. Well, yeah, no, that's cool.
I mean, that's kind of how we got where we are.
Yeah. And then what do you remember? Like, what was your first guitar?
My Kramer. Actually, that's not true. I think I got one from somebody, but I tore it apart. I was going to refinish it. My first one was the Kramer. And then I traded North Real Brian Hill, the Decade of Aggression double CD for the Hondo. That's
oh wow. Oh yeah, because you did have the Hondo and Lawn Dart. That's
right. It's still one of the greatest guitars.
You know what? It's funny. I actually I got rid of mine years ago, and I definitely regret it. And then
shake my head at you now.
I've kind of been. What's that?
I'm shaking my head at you now.
No, I know. I kick myself all the time that I did that, but I've been kind of looking at them again, and they've definitely gone up in price. It's crazy. Like you used to be able to get those for like $100 or something, and now they're like anywhere between $400 and $800.
It's ridiculous. Mine's in such bad shape, as bad shape as the Kramer is, but I mean they took their abuse.
That's crazy though. I mean that's cool. You still have your original electric guitar.
Yeah,
I don't think a lot of people can say that.
Yeah,
I can't.
And
say
Mark
that.
wants it back.
Yeah, well, remember we were talking about that. Yeah, you're like, it isn't happening.
Mm-mm. 'Tis my baby.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell.
Sorry, dude. Can't help it. When we were talking about guitars, and my first guitar was that Epiphone. One of the things I was kind of thinking about after the episode last week is sort of and this is maybe a little interesting side story we can talk about, is like actual guitar techniques.
Oh my God.
But just like, let's just say like power chord techniques, because everyone sort of had like their own like unique way, I think, that they played in that respect. Because I remember when I had those 3 guitar lessons at Carpenter's, my teacher, when he showed me the power chords, he showed me basically that he kind of did them like more like the quote unquote real way, where you would actually, you play like the root note with your index finger, and then your ring finger and pinky would be like the, I don't know what that's called, but like your octave note, and like whatever the other note is. So it's like more like a true kind of bar chord, power chord. So that's how I learned it. But to me, like playing punk rock, that it kind of slowed you down.
Yeah, because you could use your fucking whatever your ring finger, and if you lay it flat enough, you could get the same thing that your pinky finger was trying to do, but it wasn't in the way.
Yeah, well, so exactly. So that was sort of like more your technique. I remember you would like kind of like flatten the string with your ring finger versus like using the pinky.
Yeah.
And then so
the blessing of fat fucking hands.
But yeah, one of the I was thinking about that because when I first started, I was doing more of that technique. And then I remember when I made the switch over to playing power chords, how I've played them ever since, was I used to record Headbangers Ball on MTV. So I would record, because it was I was already out of lawn dart and I was playing guitar. And I like I'd said in the previous episode, I was kind of just like gung ho on getting better at guitar and like wanting to really figure shit out and like get better. So I was practicing a lot, and I didn't want to get like tab books or anything. So what I would do is I would record Headbangers Ball, and then I would go through and I would watch everything, and the videos that would show like hand positionings, I would slow mo and like kind of try to like watch what they were doing. And so the one video that, and this is something else I wanted to ask, I thought about this week, I wanted to ask you about.
Oh my God. You're nuts. You know this, right?
What do you mean about recording the videos?
No, well, no, the whole, all right. So I'm going to sidetrack your sidetrack. Yeah,
that's fine.
I don't know if I ever thought I wanted to get better. Like I wanted to get to the point where I could do it and act like an asshole. But besides that, like there was never, like I was okay with hitting a plateau.
Right.
And I'd ride the plateau as long as I could, because it was, to me, I guess it was more about performing than it was actual music.
Yeah, no, I should probably, so when I say better, no, but when I say better, I probably should clarify that I mean in terms of just better, because so at least I felt competent to play the type of music that I was listening to, which I was at that time, I was getting into a lot of like thrash and death metal. And I knew that I didn't really know how those riffs were played.
Right.
And I could tell very easily that they were beyond power chords. So I didn't really know exactly what was happening. So I think when I say better, it wasn't even that I was trying to like learn scales and shit, but just trying to like I can't necessarily learn to play Slayer songs with just power chords, which come to find out, actually you can, but I didn't know that at the time. But that's funny. A good segue is that one of the most critical videos that I'd say that really got me in a different frame of mind beyond power chords, and a reason why he became one of my favorite guitar players, is the War Ensemble video from Seasons in the Abyss. So that video, I recorded that from Headbangers Ball, and I would slow motion that, because in that video, there's lots of really good close-ups of Jeff Hanneman's hand as he's like playing the song. So I would like, I was fortunate enough to have a VCR that had you could like slow the speeds in increments, so you could step it down. And I would get it down so slow that where it would almost be like just pause framing, but it would like maybe move like every 4 seconds. And I realized that he was doing a power chord, but using his pinky in lieu of his ring finger, to make his power chord. So it made his hand just look flat on the neck. And I remember that just being like this huge epiphany of like, whoa, like he's actually just playing a power chord there, but it's not how I've been playing them. And then I kind of realized that for me, that worked way better, because as soon as I saw him doing that, I was like, well, I'm going to adopt that and see if that changes how I play it all. And I realized that for me, that made playing faster a lot easier. I don't know if just because of how my hand's shaped or something about the comfort level of like almost like your middle finger and ring finger are more out of the way so you can like jump around easier.
That's kind of crazy. I never even thought about that.
Yeah, so I was like, whoa, this is like whole new
next level shit, like, boy.
Yeah, total next level shit. I was like, it's like ever since then, that's why he's been one of my favorite guitar players, is like he was very instrumental in like sort of altering my path of how I like the fundamentals of how I play. And then from that point on, it just really made getting into thrash and death metal riffing so much easier, because then doing like sort of like holding down with your index finger and doing like middle finger hammer on stuff, and then jumping back to a power chord with your pinky, it was just better, because then you actually had your middle Finger and ring finger to do like underneath hammer-ons while you're still like power chording or something.
Yeah. So here, I'm going to tell you the greatest thing about War Ensemble is back when I drank, I'd go to this local, I live in the fucking sticks north of Baltimore. And at 12 o'clock every fucking Friday night in my shithole bar, I would fucking play War Ensemble and drive all the little hillbillies nuts. It was so fucking awesome. It is so fucking loud. Like it was just, I guess the way it was mastered, it was so much fucking louder than everything else.
Is that like, just like you're playing it on a jukebox or something?
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
It was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, so I was thinking about this too. I don't 100% not certain about this, but I honestly think I think that was 90 when that record came out. And I honestly think that Seasons in the Abyss was my first exposure to Slayer from a standpoint of kind of, I guess, hearing them on my own. Like maybe I'd heard them through some other people, like riding in a car or something, but I'd say that was probably like my first exposure. And then my second exposure to Slayer actually would have been South of Heaven, which would have been like sort of simultaneous to probably hearing it from Cowboy Carl.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then, but yeah, anyway, that doesn't even matter. But but that was like a huge part of changing my guitar playing at the time. And I still play like that to this day. Now I'd say my technique has improved over the years. And there's sometimes when I do play like a more traditional power chord / bar chord with fingers in the proper positions and whatnot. But if I'm playing, like Craven Moorhead songs or just punk, I always naturally revert to like the
try that
power chord.
That's kind of crazy. I guess it'd work. I don't know. I'm slow.
And I think Gabe used that a little bit, but he sort of had like a weird hybrid technique of how he played his power chords.
Yeah, I thought, because when he showed me, he was like the pinky behind. Yeah, you guys really give a fuck about this. But it was more like the pinky below, because he showed me everything I fucking knew.
Well, that was going to be my question for you then, is like, so Jeff Hanneman was kind of like I would say he probably definitely was my first guitar influence.
Your guitar hero? I know. I got mine.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know what yours is.
Not that I play like any of them, but it was like, I loved Hendrix. I thought he was the baddest man alive. The dude from 24/7 Spies. I liked all like the soulful shit. Like, not that it ever comes through in anything I fucking do, but like anybody that like had a lot of soul in it, that's what I liked.
That's cool.
That's why
I remember you like that 24/7 Spies, dude.
Yeah, dude, they fucking rule.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I would have guessed Hendrix. That's funny. I honestly didn't even realize you liked him that much.
Yeah. It's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, so I don't know. Is there anything else you needed to add to that part? Because I was gonna go to my topic for you for this week.
Oh yeah,
which I think kind of ties in perfectly. So my question this week for you is going to be what we talked about last week, is wanting you to explain about like your time in Hedgesville.
Oh shit.
And just so, and whatever, you don't have to answer this or get too personal about it if you don't want to, but for my own curiosity, like what was the reason that you did that? Because you were living with your dad when you did that, right?
I moved in with my dad. I got in a fight with my grandparents, and it was over skateboarding. Okay. And so I moved to a place that had absolutely none. Well, it's not true. I mean, there were guys that skated at the school, but like at my dad's house, you couldn't skate. There was nowhere to fucking skate. There was nowhere that I could walk to and skate. Like it was just.
So what, your grandparents were like, you're skating
she
too
was
much,
nagging the shit out of me and saying like I was cutting people off in cars and shit like that. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, she was just getting on my nerves. And I was like, fuck it, I'm leaving.
Gotcha.
But
so I mean, that's a pretty intense, like, decision to like do that.
So my sister did it too, and at the same age. And I almost think it's like a coming of age for us, and it's almost like us drawing the line in the sand against my grandparents. Like, all right, this was cool, but we're gonna start playing by my rules a little bit more, like, because we both did it. And like my dad, he was fucking clueless on what to do with a kid. I mean, what is it, 1 week or every other week on a Sunday for 4 hours? He had no clue what to fucking do with me. Like, so his parenting skills were really fucking weird. So that only lasted, I think, 3 months. But I was stuck at Hedgesville, and for some reason, I didn't want to move in with my grandparents. Why the thought process of not transferring never came up, don't know. But basically, I lived there. And then, like I said, that's where I met Phil. I think he called me out of the fucking blue. Like, we got snowed in one day, and he called me out of the blue, and I walked up to his house. And that's when we started talking, like actually started talking and hanging out. It was weird.
Wait, okay, hold on a second. So you only lived at your dad's for 3 months, but you moved back to your grandparents, but we're still going to Hedgesville?
I actually stayed with my Uncle Toots. Do you remember him?
Oh, shit. I do.
So I moved out. I think it must have been, holy shit, the dog was going nuts. They went somewhere one day and we were off of school, and I called Toots up and I'm like, come get me. I'm done. And he came, got me, and I lived with him. I mean, which was really good, because I think that's a lot of the foundation work for me. Like, that's kind of where I kind of grew up, and he had barely any rules. So it was pretty much game on. He helped me build ramps. I had fucking ramps at his house. Like,
oh really?
Yeah, it was awesome. And like, me and Rich McLeaf would take off school and go skate somewhere. Like, of course my dad was like hammering me about it. Like, we didn't talk for fucking 7 years after that, but it was really good. I mean, because you met a lot of people, and it kind of broadened and opened you up a lot to just different people, different scenes. Like, I was so, what do you want to say? Naive to believe that if you skateboarded, you listen to punk rock. Like, I met all the skaters. I'm like, what are you listening to? I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, they were all very, I don't know. It was like that culture didn't come across the bridge. There were people, because like, I never met him, but like Ozzie Taylor was way into like the skating scene and was into the punk scene, but I never met him. Like, I know of him, but I never met him. And it was like, so there was a lot I guess the people I met didn't fall too far in that culture. I mean, I met some, and it by the end of the year, there were more kids like into it, but there wasn't a lot. It was really, but that's where Rich came in and Danny Farrow and who else?
Like, see, I know all those people from like name, and I know I've met them, but they weren't people that I like knew that well at all.
Right.
Oh, so were you riding a school bus to school at that time?
With Gabe.
Oh, so that's where I wanted to get to. I was like, are any of our friends people that you like rode the school bus with over there?
So Gabe, oh shit, what was her name? Raspy voice girl. Oh shit, I can't remember her name. She rode the bus with us. Like basically
Jason Murphy.
Eli rode the bus with us.
Yeah.
Pretty much that Route 11 corridor, we were all on there.
Yeah.
So it was.
So Phil didn't ride the bus.
He
would have been driving already. Yeah.
So yeah, and then it's crazy.
You were saying on the last episode about the first time you ever met Phil was he was working a concession stand at school. Like, expand on that like more in detail. Like, do you remember like after like what was that encounter like? Did you like you had a shirt on that he was like, oh, I know that band, or like,
it was vice versa. Like he was working, and I don't know. I might have had a JFA shirt. That might have been as crazy as I got with punk rock t-shirts.
Okay.
And like I said something to him, and he kind of, I almost think, and I think I'm right in saying this, he kind of blew me off, but for some reason he let me in the door after a little while. Because I was he had a black flag button or something. He had shit that I could actually relate to.
But you guys didn't have classes together?
Yeah, he was older.
And did you have classes with Gabe at all?
Yeah, no, Gabe was a ton younger. So much like,
oh, that's right.
Much like the sticks here, where the middle school and high school go to ride the same bus, so did we. So in Hedgesville, because it was so kind of out in nowhere, we'd all ride the middle school and high schoolers all rode the same bus.
Oh yeah, because he would have been in middle school
when
you were going over there. Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's right.
But he was so intertwined with the older kids. He was like the fucking coolest kid ever.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So basically you only really knew him over there from the school bus.
Yeah. How fucking stupid is that? Yeah.
And you weren't like, you guys never were hanging out outside of like the school bus? Is that
no, not at that time. No. Like I first got reintroduced to Gabe when we went over for Aversion practice. But we knew each other because it's like there's only so many kids that ride the school bus anyway out there. And it was like, so you knew everybody. And I was always
that's crazy,
kind of on the periphery because I wasn't like a metal kid, as we know. And I wasn't like, I was the skate kid.
And then, so you said then at one point it snowed and Phil got a hold of you to hang out. Like, how did that actually come about though? Like, how did you guys know each other's numbers and stuff? Like,
I think he phone booked me.
Oh, you got phone booked?
Yeah. Like,
wow.
I think he called, I swear to God, he called the house. I could be totally wrong, but I swear to God, he called the house. And I had nothing to fucking do. And I fucking walked my ass up to his house.
Because that's like kind of far for walking.
It is in the snow, but it was back when they didn't fucking clear the road. So you could walk down the middle of Route 11 and there was nobody coming.
Oh, wow.
Like it was like fucking dead.
So you had that one encounter with him at school. And then like you guys didn't hang out, and then all of a sudden he just randomly called you.
I do, yeah. And I think I took records up to him, and so we swapped records, and kind of our friendship started from there. Once again, Phil, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's how it works.
Yeah, this has been my favorite episode so
Jesus
far, just
Christ.
because but this is all stuff I like didn't know, because and not in necessarily a bad way, but it your time in Hedgesville is a lot more unepic than kind of what I thought it was. It's like I sort of assumed that there was a lot more like hanging out between you and certain people, but it sounds like really that wasn't even the case till like later.
No, I actually hung out. I skated. Like I skated a shit ton. Like we skated the Martinsburg pool. Like that was what I did. Like it was, I mean, if we're talking skate adventures, it was epic. I mean, because I had my 2 quarters at my great uncle's house, and I, skated that, and then we would go skate in Martinsburg or wherever. It was crazy.
Okay, so
but musically and the people we know wise, no, it's not that epic.
Yeah, so you were basically still in the skate zone when you were at Hedgesville. There wasn't any like music stuff going on or anything, really, other than just listening to stuff.
Yeah, just listening to shit, which was great because Phil kind of brought, like a bunch of shit to me that I would have never heard, and he had been in it a lot longer than I had, so he definitely had a wealth of shit that I didn't.
So you didn't, did like Ramon ride your bus?
No.
And did you know Clevenger yet?
Clevenger I met at Gabe's.
Oh,
and I probably said I wanted to kill him the first time I fucking met him. I kind of think that was the case.
Why do you want to kill me, sir?
Oh my God. Well, you have to, I didn't drink, and I didn't do anything. And so if we go to Gabe's for something, like, and it was a Saturday night, it was fucking mayhem at Gabe's house. Friday or Saturday night, it was fucking total mayhem. And it was just like, you get people in there and you're like, who the fuck are you? And I think, honestly, I didn't meet Clevenger till like the ranch.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. So this is kind of a weird, not a weird question, but I'm just thinking back to some of the things we were talking about earlier. So I remember, so I remember when you were kind of more in your like bike phase.
Right.
Because when we weren't hanging out yet or anything, but I remember when I would go to my grandparents on the weekends, sometimes I'd be like driving by your house and you'd be just like out in the street, like riding your bike.
Trying to do tail whips. Still can't do them. Pisses me off.
Yeah, whatever you were trying to do. But so that was my first, and I guess, honestly, I was probably maybe in 5th grade when I would have probably been seeing you like ride your bike, I guess.
Yeah.
And you riding your freestyle bike was like my first exposure to like anything like that at all.
Oh my God. I'm sorry.
No, well, like just like, because like I have a pretty vivid memory of like seeing you ride your bike and then just being like, whoa, that's weird. Like, what, like, I was like, what are you even trying to do? It's like it's like this, I never seen anybody like freestyle on a bike before. So it's like, yeah, like tail whips or like endos and like, like getting up on the back pegs and like hopping and stuff. I'm like, well, it's like these bikes are weird looking, first of all, and they have pegs. I'm like, what is going on?
My Schwinn doesn't have that shit.
Oh, it didn't?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
I was saying.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, yeah. Well, I had a 10 speed. So I'm like, that's why I was even more confused.
That is awesome.
So yeah, I was just like, whoa, what is that? That's like so crazy. So that was like really intriguing to me. And I definitely remember kind of being like pretty obsessed about finding out what that was like, what is this type of bike? And like, what are these like tricks you do on them and stuff? So my aunt, who is my same aunt I keep referencing, who like had me listen to records and stuff, she knew about Hub City Cycles.
Oh, really? Oh.
And I was kind of talking to her. I was like, hey, like I saw Curtis the other day and he had this like weird bike and like, I want to learn to like see what that is. And she's like, well, I know this bike shop in town. We'll go down there and just like look around. So we went down, and I may still have this. I don't know for sure. Just like the super hoarder in me, even as a little kid, was like keeping the dumbest shit. But I remember going to Hub City, and they had like a rack out by the door where it was like catalogs and stuff, just like free giveaway stuff. I remember getting this Kuwahara catalog.
How crazy is that?
And that was really sort of like, I think like the initial like seed being planted of like understanding like the world of freestyle and skateboarding. And just, so I remember they did have skateboards in there, and they were, I don't remember what they sold there. They had some,
they had like the Haro circuit board. They had,
yeah, maybe.
I think they might have had like the Sure Grip. Like, I mean, it's funny you say that, but they had selected stuff, but because Haro tried to get into the skateboards, and
yeah, I remember the Haro circuit board.
Fuck, I can't remember. Yeah, but they had like weird ones like that.
Totally. And I didn't know anything about that at all. I just like remember there were skateboards, and I got this Kuwahara catalog. I remember looking through it, and just, you know, I think there was some pictures in there of dudes like airing out of quarter pipes or whatever. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, this is so cool. And I was just like completely fascinated by it. And then the whole point of even bringing this up is that I think maybe a few weekends later, coming over to my grandparents, you actually had a quarter pipe at your house for a while. So the reason why I'm asking is, would that have possibly been like, where did that even come from? Because it seems like the timeline that would have been, you would have had that before you would have had a quarter pipe in Hedgesville.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
And it wasn't huge. It was maybe only like 4 or 5 feet high, and it didn't have a deck on it or anything. It was just like literally like almost like a oversized launch ramp.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fuck.
And it used to sit. So this is like like basically when your house was still an earth house, when there was like Lisa and Marv weren't up top yet and everything. It was like when it was just flat. And I remember that like the ramp was actually sitting kind of like on the roof.
No.
Like,
you know what that was? That was it was before they moved in. It was the back of the house. They were digging it for Lisa and Marv, and I'd flattened out this massive part. So it was like a quarter pipe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it was dirt?
Yeah, it was dirt.
Oh, that's crazy. I have this memory of it definitely like being wood for some reason.
No. That's why I was kind of surprised. But they were moving, and I dug it all out and like flattened it because got rid of the cistern and everything, and we finally got a well. Yes, I lived in the fucking basement. We didn't have a fucking shower until I was in high school. And the basement was it. And then my aunt and uncle moved on top. But we had built this. They were digging everything out. And so I was like, well, fuck, that looks like a quarter pipe. So I went and like smoothed the whole face of it out.
Here's the stitch. There's been a glitch.
All right, but yeah, I was saying that you didn't live in the basement. You guys had your own place. It wasn't like,
it was a basement though. The house had never been built. The two houses, I don't understand the thought process. I guess somebody thought they were developing land. They started both those houses off and then stopped and basically framed out the basements and made them houses.
Oh, I see. So they were originally were supposed to be a full house.
I believe so.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I believe so.
Oh, and you said you didn't have a shower.
No. There was a shower, but it never worked. We fucking threw our dirty clothes in it. It was like old school. We like, what is that? We washed out of the fucking sink.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, damn. I thought I had it bad. So at my grandparents during the week, we weren't allowed to take showers. We could only take a bath because we bought our water. We had a cistern.
Yeah, so did we. Yeah.
I remember my grandfather was always like super like freaked out about taking showers, thinking it would like use more water. I think actually showers use less water.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you couldn't get him convinced of that. And then staying at my grandparents on the weekends next to you, You know, I'm sure you remember the old farmhouse, but that thing, the pipes would freeze in the winter, and like you'd have, I mean, I took showers or took baths out of, like, my grandmother would heat up water on the stove, and like,
hell yeah. Oh my God.
that's crazy. Well, so I guess the whole point of even bringing up the thing about the dirt ramp and all that stuff, which is funny because I swear I thought that was wood, but
I might have tried to build a wood one at one time, which is very possible, but like anything I could have, where you've located it would have made it that dirt ramp.
Gotcha. But then, so basically that would have been like 5th grade. And then the summer going into 6th grade, I was coming over one weekend, driving down the road. So this is just cool because this ties into sort of like your timeline you were describing, but you would have already ditched the bike and would have been like skating. And then, I didn't see you that often it would just be like a random occurrence. Like if I'm, it might've been like a year span from the time I would see you in the street riding your bike to skating, or even maybe longer. But I definitely remember driving to the house and you were out skating in the street. And just like seeing you ride this freestyle bike, I mean, obviously I had seen skateboards before, but I didn't ever see, like, I guess, quote unquote, trick skating or like anything other than just riding a skateboard. And I remember coming down the road and you were in the street skating and you were doing like street plants.
Yes.
And it was like a very similar situation to like where I saw you riding your bike and was like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, what is this? That's so cool. But then when I saw you riding the skateboard and trying the street plants, that was just such a like mind-blowing concept. Like, I've only ever seen people ride skateboards. Like, I didn't even know like that doing tricks on them was a thing, really. And so like, if you think about, you don't have a perception at all of like tricks being done on a skateboard, and then all of a sudden you see someone doing like a street plant, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy. But you were like really good at them though too. And I would definitely remember, because you could like ride into them sick and like stall them really long and everything. And I remember seeing you do them that day, and I wanted a freestyle bike really bad once I had like figured out that what it was. It's like, I want to like air out on quarter pipes. Like, this looks fucking cool. But then freestyle bikes were really expensive.
Yes. And that's why I got the FST, which is the fucking baseline. And then it was like, I couldn't afford to ever upgrade it. Like,
Yeah, you had like, yeah.
So it like skateboards, like $50, I have a brand new setup,
Totally. Well, so basically and of course, I remember I got a couple freestyle magazines, and I forget the guy's name, but I remember this one issue very vividly where it was like a story on this guy who rode for Dyno, and he had like the sickest like hot pink dyno with like white frame stands and like white pegs.
Dino DeLuca?
No, it wasn't Dino DeLuca. I forget who it was, but it was a dude. He kind of had like the Tony Hawk, like McSqueeb hair at the time. Like blonde haired dude.
I'm trying to think who all rode for them. Because I want to say Mike Dominguez, but I don't think he rode for them.
No. But anyway, yeah, this guy, he had like the sickest dyno. So I was like hell bent on like wanting a dyno. I was like, gotta get a dyno. And they were so expensive. My grandparents were just like, you're not getting a freestyle bike. Like, it's not happening. And I was super bummed. And then I remember I was able, like, basically seeing you skate that day. I was like, well, I got to like figure out skateboarding because that looks fun and maybe cooler than bikes anyway.
Yeah, by far.
And I think like that next week, I had here's the cool Hagerstown reference for people. I had my grandmother take me to Zares. Do you remember Zares? So I got my first skateboard at Zares, which was just like this little shitty, like blue plastic board with like yellow plastic wheels. I mean, it was horrible, like plastic trucks. It was so bad, but I remember being so hyped on that. And I went full bore into like riding that like every single day in the driveway, like just constantly. And then I think right around that time is when I started 6th grade. And that's when this back to like the last episode where I kind of started talking to Brent, getting the trickle down from you guys of like music and stuff. And when I got the first invite from him to come over to his house to skate, because you guys had that quarter pipe over at Dustin and Danny's.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, it had just been like for Christmas, I got my Nash Executioner.
Yes.
And this is how clueless I was about skateboarding at the time. I actually didn't know what like bushings in the trucks were like meant to do. And that the trucks were like super tight. And on that little blue plastic board I had, it actually like carved pretty well. Like it like had good, like the trucks were kind of loose. In this Nash board, the trucks were so fucking tight. And I thought the problem was the bushings. So I actually took the bushings out of my trucks, which I will say is like a thing now that people do.
Really?
Like there's like dudes who want to skate like super loose trucks. Like I know guys who skate like without bushings.
Really?
It's like it actually became a thing. But at the time I wasn't trying to be cool. Like I was just like, how do I get these to move better? So I remember taking the bushings out and I got this invite to go over to skate the ramp. And I remember being like terrified actually, because I was like, I'm going to skate this ramp that I knew like older dudes skated, like I knew you skated there. And so I was definitely like, I'm not that good at skating yet. So I was like, I don't know who's going to be there. And like, am I going to be like peer pressured into trying to do shit I don't know how to do or like whatever. So I get over there. And so of course the first thing is like, I have my Nash Executioner and everybody over there has like sick fucking boards. Like and I remember this too, that not only did everybody have like a really good professional board, but there were like 2 or 3 extra professional boards that were just like laying on the lawn.
That's the fucking Watsons.
Yeah. That they were just like, they could swap out boards and stuff. And I just remember being like, I'm so out of my league right now. Like I shouldn't have came here today. Like totally, not that I thought anybody was going to make fun of me necessarily, but I just felt like really out of place. Like, yeah, I just felt out of place. Like my gear was bobo, like, you know, all my clothes weren't cool. Like, I don't know. It just, I felt really insecure and it was lame, but everyone was super cool to me. And I definitely remember that Dustin, one of these boards that was like laying out to just like be an extra board or something was a Lester Kasai. And
I ended up with that.
Oh, did you?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that board was like set up, had like trackers on it and like the whole thing. So he's like, well, and they realized that I didn't have bushings in my trucks. And they were like, dude, you don't even have like bushings in your trucks. Like you're not gonna be able to skate the ramp with your board like this. So it wasn't even like they were making fun that I had a Nash. It was just like, dude, like you don't have fucking bushings. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I was like, I don't even know. Like, so like, here, try this. So got they let me skate that Lester all day. And I just remembered, you know, and that quarter pipe wasn't even that big. It was maybe like 4 or 5 feet high, if even that.
5, but it was a tight ass transition.
Super tight. And I definitely remember I got to the point where I think by the end of the day, I was maybe kick turning like a foot or so up on it. But yeah, so that was
Glitch? Who you calling a glitch?
but yeah, so the whole point of all of that is just that was sort of the start. And then I remember that day they had the boombox out by the quarter pipe, like listening to, because I had already established with Brent and those guys, you know, we were kind of listening to like the same kind of music and stuff. So that was cool. And I think maybe I got to hear JFA for the first time that day. Right. Some other stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, seeing you do Street Plants that day was definitely like 100% the reason why I started skateboarding.
That's so crazy.
At least that. So I guess in my mind, I always sort of reference that as, I guess, being definitely how I got into skateboarding, but also probably like the start of us, even though you didn't like really probably know that, but that was the start for me of, I guess, leading to where we are just now. It's like that. And like I said, even though we played a little bit as kids and
I was
stuff.
Han Solo. Just remember that.
Yeah. Exactly. But even that was like pretty infrequent.
Yeah.
So I'd say that like seeing you skating and getting me into skating was sort of like the initial catalyst of what would become our relationship moving forward. And then, so where this kind of is cool and ties in is now I can bring this full circle back to my Ryan Harpster story.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know did you ever, I think I've asked you this before, but did you ever skate Brian Baker's half pipe that was near my house?
I skated wingers, but not Brian Baker's. No.
Okay. So that was pretty much the ramp that I like learned on, essentially. Like I said, I skated a few various ramps in the area, but, it was mostly just like showing up, waiting till people were done who were good, and then just like pumping.
No
to,
shit.
like, learn shit.
Everybody does that. It's fucking intimidating.
Yeah, totally. So, and most people were like a good bit older than me when I go to these ramps and stuff. But then, so my aunt, she was actually best friends with Brian Baker's older brother, Brad. And he was into like punk and hardcore and stuff. So when I started skating, my aunt knew from Brad that his little brother was building a half pipe, and they lived like right up the street from me. Like it was like not even like a 10-minute walk from my house. It was like a 2-minute drive to their house. And she's like, hey, my friend Brad, his little brother who you go to school with, is building a half pipe. And it technically wasn't a vert ramp, but it was about 7 feet high, and it did have maybe like a little bit of vert. But anyway, I skated that ramp pretty much every single day for probably like 2 years. And that's a ramp that I really got super good on. But one of the very first times.
Oh, okay. So this time it's frozen, right? And like, he looks like he just got hit in the nuts. Like he's kind of, his face is sucked up, and he's like got the ooh face on.
Anyway, let's get back to it.
All right. So I think the last thing I was talking about was just the first couple of times I went to Brian's ramp, and I was just kind of pumping from the flat, and I don't know, just kind of getting better, doing kick turns and just working my way up the ramp and stuff. And then there was they had lights at the ramp, so we could skate in the evenings. And one of the times I'm not 100% certain about this, but it may have been one of the very first times I ever met Ryan Harpster, and he came over to Brian's ramp. And he came with somebody, and I don't remember who, but he was definitely just he was like just kind of loud, very boisterous, kind of like, I don't know, he's just kind of like jockish a little bit.
Up front and in your face.
Yeah, he just kind of like a little bit like bully sort of personality. And I remember I hadn't learned to drop in yet on the ramp. Like, I don't even know if I had dropped in on anything actually at this point. Because like I said, I had skated a few ramps just a little tiny bit, but nothing like getting serious. And I remember being at the point where I was like kick turning high enough to like scratch grind. And I was kind of doing some like, just like reaching down and grabbing your nose when you kick turn and stuff like that. So I knew I was like getting to the point where I was going to have to learn to drop in, because like I can't be like pumping from flat all the time. So I remember him being there, and he definitely like picked up on the fact that I didn't know how to drop in yet. And he just like rolled with it. And he was just like fucking with me so bad. Just like, come on, man. Like, fucking drop in, like, don't be a pussy, and like all that shit. And of course I'm like, fuck, man, like I just want to like kind of do this on my own time and like whatever. So anyway, he's like, come on, like get up on the deck and drop in. So I definitely like remember succumbing to the peer pressure, and I like got up there, and he was definitely like kind of being a dick to me, but then he also kind of was like, here, man, like I'll show you what to do. So it was like he was like being a dick, but he also was like kind of helping. And he's like, dude, you just like put your tail down. And he was kind of explaining to me like lean forward, like. And I don't know anybody who's listening to this who has ever skated or like skates ramps. The first time you ever drop in, it's like it's fucking scary. Like if you've never done it before, it's like it's one of the major fundamentals of skateboarding is like doing your first drop in. And I'll never forget, I definitely kept doing the thing where you like put your foot on, like you're gonna go, but then you like chicken out and you like step back. And he had his foot on his board, and he turns and he looks at me, and just with the most serious tone of voice, he goes, all you have to do is pretend it's a giant pussy and you want to jump into it. I remember thinking that's like such a ridiculous thing to say, but it honestly like lightened the mood so much that it just kind of made me laugh. And I did end up dropping in that night. I did my first drop in like in his presence. And it was part of like him saying that and just kind of bullying me like a tiny bit that got me to drop in. But now fast forward to about 6 months later, I was skating that ramp like every day, and I had progressed pretty quickly. And that was like the one time I had skated with him. And then it was when it was like the first month of the start of 10th grade, and I broke my left wrist skating that ramp doing, I remember I was trying to learn backside boneless ones on the ramp, and I had tried like so many and just was getting so close and just kept bailing, knee sliding out and just like Pete Rosing in the flat bottom and stuff. I just, for whatever reason, couldn't like ride away from that trick. And I remember we were listening to Metallica, Master of Puppets that night. And the song Master of Puppets was on. And I remember being like fired up, and I was just like, I'm landing this no matter what. And I landed it, and I actually did roll away, but my feet were like too close together. And when I was rolling through the flat bottom, I like zinged out and just, it just like zinged me out so fast. My arm went back and I snapped my wrist. So, the next week in school, came into school with a cast on. And I remember walking down the hall, and his homeroom was like kind of near mine, even though he was a little bit older than me. And walking down the hallway, there's like all these people around. I mean, it's like, switching in between classes and stuff. And he just like screams at the top of his lungs. He's like, fucking Geek broke his arm. And I was just, dude, I was like so fucking embarrassed. And he's just like, honestly, I never even.
How can my internet be so fucking shitty? Anyway, let's get back to the show.
So basically, broken arm, go to school the next week, and leaving homeroom, walking down the hall with like shit tons of people. Everyone's around talking, and it's like loud. And Ryan was pretty tall too. Like yes. he was a good bit taller than most kids in high school. And I just remember seeing him coming down, and I knew that he was going to say something, because I was just like, he was like eyeballing me, and like, I'm like, oh God, here we fucking go. And yeah, I'm just like, I'm walking towards him. And also, not only did I break my arm, but technically I broke what's called your growth plate. I didn't actually break a bone. There's like cartilage in your wrist that, like, when you're still growing as like a teenager, if you can like actually break this cartilage, which eventually turns into bone, I think. But at the time, I was like only like 14 or 15. So it's like I was still like growing and stuff. So the doctors were actually worried that maybe my left arm was going to be shorter than my right once I got to like full grown. So
you had to do a lot of wrist exercises.
Well, I did after the fact. Yes. But I was, I guess that's where a guitar came into play because I'm right-handed for what you're describing. So, but, so anyway, not only did I have a cast on, but I had a special cast and I had my arm in a special position to like help to correct that.
Oh my
so
God,
I had
you're
like
making this so much worse.
Yeah, so like full arm cast, and I don't know why, but the color they gave me was like this Dayglow pink. It was like the color of the cast. So I'm just like walking down the hall, this giant cast, and like he fucking sees me and he's just like so loud. He's like, fucking geek broke his arm. Like so loud. Oh my
God.
And I'm just like, wow, cool. Like that sucks so bad. Because I remember being like bummed that he's yelled that at me in the hallway, and also simultaneously just being like I don't know. I don't know why it kind of pissed me off, because I think what it was is that in my mind, I knew that his only recollection of me skating was the night he like hounded me about dropping in.
Right.
So, you know, in his mind, maybe I hadn't even gotten any better. So he's just like, this is the fucking poser who like can't even drop in. Basically.
Yeah. Oh, that's painful.
Then I have my broken arm. So, but in my mind, I'm like, and he was like, not that great. Like I remember that time he skated the ramp with us the night he taught me how to drop in. I mean, he could barely even like 50-50 that ramp. Like he was dropping in and kick turning. He could do some 50-50s and that's about it.
Dude, so I think it's hard as fuck to switch ramps. Like when you sit in like you're saying for like 2 years and that's all you skate. Like I have the worst time. Well, I don't anymore because I don't fucking do it. But anything that wasn't an 8-foot transition, if it was tighter than an 8-foot, it was so hard to skate. Like it was like next to impossible because my timing was so off. Like the bigger one's a little bit easier to gauge, but like once it went under like an 8-foot tranny, it was so hard.
That's funny because I mean, I get what you're saying. And like, obviously skating ramps with bigger transition is definitely like easier, but I actually kind of excelled at skating tighter transitions a little bit.
So we're going way along. So when I broke my leg, like at his house.
Which I remember when you broke your leg.
We dogged everybody who was like, if they twisted their ankle or something, they'd lay around and bitch about it.
Uh-huh.
And it'd be like, get the fuck up, you puss. I'm tired of hearing it. So I totally understand him busting your balls.
Yeah.
But I broke my leg, and because I think he had hurt himself like a night or two before. And he's like, come on, get back up. And I couldn't fucking walk. But I got back on my board and at least hit the other transition before my fucking, but I couldn't even walk. Like by the time my aunt come to pick me up, my fucking leg was a fucking tree trunk.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I totally forgot that you broke your leg because you were laid up for a while.
Yeah, it sucked. That's
funny. Yeah, well, and I mean, whatever, like looking back on that, it was totally funny. Like, it's a cool story now, you know, but, and I mean, it wasn't even like, I mean, he liked me. It wasn't even like,
no, that's just him. It was him. Yeah. It was like, brutal. That whole ramp, that scene was brutal. Like, I don't know how Ryan Rossman fucking skated with him, because that kid took a pummeling, like verbally from him all the time.
Okay, and that's hilarious, because that probably makes a lot of sense why Ryan and I ended up becoming such good friends and skating a lot.
Maybe
because you know, he's like a couple years older than me, but I actually skated with Mike and Ryan a good bit. I skated their ramp a few times, but not that often. But they skated Brian's ramp all the time. Like that was like the local crew there. It was like me, Ryan, and Mike. Brian, who owned the ramp, and then we actually, all the West Virginia dudes skated Brian's ramp all the time, because they would come up through Sharpsburg or up through Shepherdstown and Sharpsburg, and you know, right up to Fairplay, because that's where the ramp was. Right. So they ended up skating the ramp a lot. So I mean, I was skating with like Chris Steffi and Ozzy, Kingpin. Like I was skating with all those dudes a lot. So that was like a really awesome, like Lenhart came and skated it a couple times. But that was a cool era of progression, I think, for a lot of people. I mean, I wish I would, that's always, I wouldn't say it's a regret, but one of the things I always kind of wished I would have like stuck with ramp skating full time. It's just like kind of when street skating got a little bigger in like 91-ish, we all kind of like went over to more like street skating because that's what was going on, and kind of gave up ramp skating altogether. And I was never as good at street skating as I was skating ramp. So I wish I kind of would have stuck with it.
No, not at all.
I mean, I got a little flippy here and there, but when it got into like handrails and jumping down giant stairs and shit, I was like, man, I'm out.
Yeah, dude. What was it? I was like, I didn't learn the fucking ollie because I didn't think it was cool.
Oh, you never did?
Oh, I can ollie, but I never like, it wasn't like something I like. That wasn't one of the tricks I was like, I'm going to work on my ollie. And like, I never fucking, it was like,
Well,
I'm a fool.
Yeah. I mean, I think this episode was probably most likely going to be our least musical oriented episode. I just feel good about the fact that I think this episode definitely creates a good foundation for moving forward. I think we're kind of more getting into the musical side of things where skateboarding is starting to take like a little bit lesser of a part of our lives. And this is when we're getting more into music and stuff. So I think moving forward, we'll get more music related. So hopefully this wasn't boring for anybody, but or expecting other things. But it was good though. I learned a ton today that I didn't know. So that's awesome.
I don't know. It's always embarrassing.
What do you mean?
I have anxiety. I hate talking about anything in the past. It's so weird that we do a podcast about talking about this shit, and it's so uncomfortable for me.
Oh, damn. Well, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all right. No, it's cool. It's cool.
I mean,
it's fun and it's cool. And it's weird because it's like shit that like the whole corrupt youth thing that didn't come. I thought it like yesterday, it kind of like came in my head because I keep trying to think of the genesis of like, how did I get like screaming in front of like Aversion? And then while you're talking about skateboard origins, I'm like, well, where in the hell did I even like, what made me want to skate and get into ramps? And actually there was a fucking ramp in, I don't know what that little area is called, but Teresa Arts, is that her name?
Tears
of Arts, her brother had a half pipe. And like, I don't think I dropped in, but he had a roll in and I went down and I'd never been on a skateboard before. And I laid on the skateboard, rolled down. And I think that was the hook. Like all of a sudden I was like, I'm fucking in. Like, this is the funnest shit ever. I think that was like the genesis.
Did she live in
Tammany?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I never knew there was a ramp back there, but for some reason I remember that she lived back there. You had mentioned earlier too about skating Jay Winger's ramp, because I just thought about that because you said about the roll in, because his whole one side of his ramp was a roll in.
Mm-hmm.
It was like roll in to PVC coping on the other side. And I think one of the very first times I ever met and skated with Andy Avey, or not Andy Avey.
Oh my God. That's
Andy
funny.
Keene was at Jay Winger's ramp.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. And that same day, so Andy was there. Andy showed up with Scott Davis.
Oh.
That was the very first. So I knew about Scott. I mean, Scott
Scotty
was like
Smooth.
he was like a legend. He was like Hagerstown skate legend at that point.
Fuck yes.
And, I just knew about him because of the ditch and all that, but I never actually saw him skate in person. And he showed up at Jay's that day with Andy. And I actually have Polaroid pictures of that session. And I remember Scott doing backside bonelesses on that ramp and just being like, what the fuck? Because Jay's ramp was kind of scary. Like it wasn't that
it was
big,
sketch.
but it was so sketch.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so. And Andy played guitar in Aversion. Is that correct?
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
That's
what I
crazy. I didn't even know he skated, or I didn't remember he skated. That's funny.
thought. Yeah. So a couple of things I was thinking about the other day. I know we got to wrap up, but I want to get into talking about. This will be a good way to maybe get us back on a musical track, but I want to talk about the North High Battle of the Bands.
Oh, Jesus fuck. That's funny.
Because
who posted? Did Justin or somebody posted that shit up on our comments on Podbean or whatever the fuck we're on?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said,
I didn't. I didn't even know you could see comments on there.
Well, that we can talk about that later.
Okay, but yeah, so I didn't see that comment, but yeah, I went to one of those with you guys, but I don't remember. I guess it would be cool for you to like give some context of like how all that came together and like what that was even about, like, and whatever. Yeah,
we can do that on another episode.
Yeah, totally. But I just wanted to say that before, so I don't forget to bring
planting the seed so I can think about it.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, so that's it.
All right. So if you have questions, comments, additional information, Phil did tell me that I also went by Tasty Taste.
I remember Tasty Taste.
That was one of my other aliases. But let us know on our social medias. We don't have a lot, so it's kind of easy to find us.
Yep. Potty Mouth Records on Instagram and pottymouthrecords@gmail.com, or I guess you can comment on the Podbean thing, which I didn't know. So
yeah. Oh yeah, you learn something new every day, don't you, fucker?
I learned a lot of new things today. I there's a part of me that feels like there's a chunk of my brain that is fulfilled now, that lots of stuff I didn't know.
You are a fucking piece of work.
I remember the other thing too to talk about at some point. We touched on it a little bit today, but I want to get some more backstory on origin story of AKR.
Oh fuck yeah, good luck.
Because I don't
find somebody.
Yeah, I don't know much about that at all, so I wasn't sure how much you know.
I can still have
that.
a sticker in the basement, but besides that, or did I give that to you? Ooh,
I don't know about a sticker. I think you definitely gave me a demo.
Did I? Holy shit!
But yeah, so
all right.
Any information you may have about that would be cool to, I think, divulge, because I don't. That's a span of history I don't really know much about. I wasn't really involved yet when that was going on. So
right. Huh. Yeah, I'll have to think on that.
Cool.
All right. So I guess we'll talk to you guys all next week.
Yep.
All right. Adios, motherfuckers.
See you next time. This podcast was brought to you by Potty Mouth Records. Contact us at pottymouthrecords@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram at Potty Mouth Records.